Can I help you? Take your hands off. Hello, my name is Scott Rogers. Today we're going to be covering the Kyusho-jitsu pressure point aspect of self-defense. Self-defense we're dividing into two sections. One is simple attacks, one is complex attacks. Simple attack is defined as a grabbing attack, something with limited motion, such as a wrist grab or a choke from behind. Complex attacks would fall into the category of pushing and punching and throwing. So basically we're going to start with the simple attacks. We're going to illustrate the different points and we're going to show how they're used in combination. You want to make sure that you've watched the first two tapes in the series. This way you know exact locations and proper angles. We're going to cover them here, but we go into a little bit more detail on those. And remember that generally we're going to start with the arm points and we're going to work our way into the body. Generally when somebody's grabbing you, the danger is in the opposite arm, so we're going to be taking that into account as well. So we always want to be aware of what can strike us, not what's holding us. Somebody reaches out and grabs you, it may be uncomfortable, but they can't hurt you with this arm. It's the other arm that you always have to keep an eye on. So the first one we're going to do is what we call a same side wrist grab. Now that could be grabbing your wrist, grabbing your elbow, basically anywhere below the elbow. So when you practice with your partner, vary the grips because people are going to attack you in different ways. So we're going to start with that. We're going to bring John out as my assistant and we're going to get started. We have John in padding today. Basically this way, as we hit the points, it starts to hurt a little bit. We want to also show a little bit more contact than we've been showing on the demonstration tapes. What we're going to have him do is reach out and grab. Now, you can just go off 1 second. First point we're going to use is what we call the mid-forearm point or the lung 6 point, which is halfway between the wrist and the elbow on the inside of the radius, right over here. Okay? So as he grabs, now, the first thing we're going to watch for is this arm. If he throws a punch, we're blocking the punch, of course. So basically, as soon as he steps up to grab, your eyes are on that arm. If he punches, we're going to block it and continue with our technique. Now, when we block the punch, we're going to be targeting the lung 5 point inside here. So as he grabs and punches, we're going to be hitting our first point already. This has numbed his arm, set up the next move. What we're going to do is we're going to take it from the point of view that he's not punching right now, and just know that when you practice, sometimes have your partner punch you and you block it out. We're going to go back to our first point, the lung 6 point. Your partner's going to grab. We are not going to move our feet. All we're going to do is rotate our hip in. We're going to keep our arm bent, and we're going to bump the arm. So that's our first release. Now, if this was a friendly situation, if somebody just grabbed you, you wanted to get out, you release, and that's more than enough. If it's a situation where you're in an alley somewhere and you feel that there's further danger, we're going to continue with the combination. So once we release, notice what's happening. We're hitting the arm's going backwards, and we're basically stretching out this area. So this is where we're going to come next. Part of the reason we're going low first also is this arm is down already. And instead of passing all these targets to go up high, we're going to keep his mind and his body occupied by striking the rib cluster, which on the bob dummy, we can see it a little bit better, the 3 points in this region. As we strike it, we're going to be using hammer fist strike, coming in an upward angle, shooting across this way. And as we do that hammer fist, we're going to be stepping into it to get our body weight coming forward. The result of this should be his body coming forward and his chin coming up, which will allow us to finish with the palm to the stomach 5 point, this one right over here underneath, 45 degrees in and up. So as he grabs, right, we're just going to raise this a little bit. We're going to hit the arm point. We're not going to hit it hard. Now we're going to step in, strike to the rib point. Now, if you see his whole body crunched forward, bringing this arm slightly backwards, this arm still down, and we're going to finish with the jaw point coming up. If at any point the other arm started coming forward, this arm is now free to take care of it. So we're going to go through it slow. We do not step on the first move, because if we step on this one, we have no power for our next technique, and we don't need power on the first move. We also want it to be quick. We just get out nice and fast. So he's here, we're out. Our eyes are on that arm, because that one's flying away, that's the danger arm. We step into the rib. That shifts his body this way and makes this arm kind of go backwards. As that happens, the chin comes up, we strike to the jaw. At this point, you have a 99.99% chance of him passing out. If for any reason he didn't, the result of the palm to the jaw would be him taking a step backwards. Our all-purpose finishing move from this point, since we can't use our hands anymore, is to kick. And we're going to keep the kick simple. We're going to do a basic front kick learned in any style of martial arts, any self-defense course, and we're going to target it to the bladder points here. So as he's hurling back, we're going to put the kick in, which again should drop him, but if need be, it brings the head into line and sends the arms backwards. So the results of most of our strikes are going to be controlling his arms, not necessarily by hitting them, but by hitting one arm, we're causing his whole body to shift and controlling the other one. We kick him down low here, his arms go back and his head goes up. We're always exposing the next point and we're weakening the next point. So we're going to do it at a little bit of a faster pace. He's going to grab, 1, 2, 3, coming in. All right, we're going to do it from a different angle. All right, so again, we're striking the arm, stepping in, hitting the rib in an in and up manner, palming to the jaw. And as we palm to the jaw, this hand can come up. There's no reason to leave it locked down here. Bring it up. So as he comes in, 1, 2, 3. And if need be, he goes back. He didn't fall down. Follow with the kick and just continue going. When you practice, sometimes it's good to go past what you need to do. Done correctly, pressure points, even just doing 1, 2 without the padding, there's a good chance of dropping them. We follow with 3, we continue with 4. You practice 5, 6 moves. That prepares you for the fact that if maybe you miss something or something doesn't work your way, your body's trained to keep going. You want to get yourself into a routine that you do everything you need to do until the person goes to the ground. So basically, when he's on the ground is the only time that you're safe. Even if he's standing there and he can't breathe, he's leaning forward. If he's standing, he can move forward to hit you. So if he's on the ground, you're safe. 2 ways to get him on the ground: to knock him out or to sweep him or throw him to the ground. At either of those 2 points, that's a good time to run or to get out of the scene if possible. But if he's still standing and you turn to try and run or you try to get away, if he's not injured, he's going to come after you. He's going to catch you unaware. Right? So one last time, we're going to just switch the angle one more time. He's here. 1, 2, 3. And we're right underneath onto that point. When it comes to lower arm grabbing, really we only have 3 variations. He can grab me on the same side, which we just covered, or he could reach across and grab. Now, in practice, he's facing me this way, and this seems kind of like a funny way to grab. But imagine a situation where I was walking and he just captured my arm this way. So this could kind of be like to stop me from where I'm going. From this position, what we're going to do is the first point we're using is the point in the wrist here. And we're going to use our index knuckle to roll to the outside. So I'm going to show it on the other hand so we can see the wristband. He grabs nice and tight. If I just try to lift his arm, he can resist, but when I cut this in, it makes his wrist bend, and it allows me to control his arm. So basically, he grabs me, and I grab him. From this position, if he was to punch, he cannot throw the punch. He can't punch across his body, and I could control him with one arm. So I've done 2 things here. I've gone from him grabbing me and being in control to grabbing him and being in control. I'm controlling his opposite arm from the punching, and if he tries to kick, I can just pull down and control his weight that way. So he basically cannot hit me. What I've also done is I've allowed myself the opportunity to strike him with no chance of him blocking because I'm on his blind side, and this would be the arm that he would most likely use to protect this area. So we're going to turn it the other way for this one while we do it slow. So as he grabs, again, the danger is here. If he was to punch right away, we would block it. If he punches as we're stepping, this hand is actually stopping it. So we're going to step in at a 45-degree angle, roll it, and we're going to lock the arm. We're going to place our hands, just move back a little bit, on his shoulder, and we're going to let our fingers slip into the collarbone region, which on the Bob dummy, we can see right over to either these points or this point, one of these 2. Basically, it just gives us a better grip, and it's going to control his body weight. So as we step in, we're here, we press down, and that kind of makes that happen. Now in this position, he cannot punch and he cannot kick because his weight's on his legs. Now that he has all his weight on his legs, we want to take his leg out from him, and we're going to knee him into the leg point. If this is done strong, he's going to fall to the ground, so we're going to just motion it because we want to finish with the technique. As he starts to go down, we're going to palm him to that point in the back of the head, coming right into there, knocking him out. Keep in mind, you have a very, very good chance that as you do this move and you come here, this alone is going to take him right down. But if he doesn't go down, he's perfectly set up for this point back here. All right, so let's show it a little bit smoother. He's here, we step, we press, we knee, we palm, shooting in. Always on the blind side, always controlling the arm, always keeping him in a position where he cannot hit you or block. All right, let's try it from the opposite side. Let's do it this angle. Okay, so maybe I'm walking, he's grabbed my arm, I turn in, press in, knee him, and hit. Okay, we're gonna proceed up the arm. We've done wrist grab, we've done opposite wrist grab. And again, that can be from the wrist to the elbow. Now we're gonna work from the elbow to the shoulder region. So he could be just placing his hand on you, he could be grabbing your lapel, whatever. So as he comes in with the grab, we wanna control him. The best way to control him and study the situation is to eagle claw the wrist points, which we covered in the first episode. We wanna be on this point, and we squeeze it. From here, if he decides to pull his arm away, pull real hard. He can move my body, but he can't pull his arm away. So basically, I've attached him to me. What I've done here is I've eliminated this as a striking weapon. Now, most likely, if I grab him and start to hurt him here, he's gonna punch me with the other hand. And that's why this hand is gonna be right here to chop him into the lung 5 point that we covered earlier. So as I grab him here, if he punches, I'm gonna chop him. If he doesn't punch, I'm gonna continue to the same point on this arm, the same lung 5 point, and I'm gonna take a small step backwards. What's gonna happen here is the cross-extensor reflex action is gonna kick in, making this arm fly backwards. I'm gonna turn him sideways, put the weight on this leg, and expose his neck, just like that. He cannot kick me, he cannot hit me, he cannot block. From this position, I can continue with a controlling technique, but if I wanted to hurt him, I would take the same hand. I've chopped in, now I'm gonna chop out, and I'm gonna hit him to either this point or the point in the front, depending on how far he turns. We're gonna use this one right now, and I'm gonna turn him after. We're gonna chop him into this point and follow up to the same exact point twice. So it's gonna be like a 1-2 combination. So we're gonna turn him this way. We're gonna have him grab. If he should punch, we're gonna deal with the punch by chopping out. When we block the punch, we're not really blocking. So when he punches, if you do this and he's got a strong punch, he's gonna go through your arm and hit you. We are going in a straight line this way. So as he punches, we are chopping, and stopping his arm out. From here, we're gonna step back, rolling the hand, like we covered, and chop the inside. We're gonna put some weight on our legs so we have power. We've shifted back. Now we're gonna shift in, either with an open hand or a closed fist. The result is the same. Strike in and just follow up the arm. By using his arm, I'm actually creating a track of where I wanna hit. If I slide up his arm, I automatically end up in that spot. So even if I was fighting with him or defending against him and there was somebody else, I can use his arm as a guide to find where his neck is at all times. So I don't always have to be looking at it. So he's here, right? We deal with whatever punch is coming in, we stop it, we hit, and we palm. Now in a real situation, you don't have to wait for this to come into here. All right, so what we're gonna do is as he grabs, we shoot right in. But again, in practice, if you do that with your partner, you have a very good chance of hitting him accidentally. So the best thing to do, if you notice the footwork, I stepped back, then I stepped in. And then I'll execute the chop slowly. But in real situation, you're actually gonna catch him coming into you. And whether you hit the right spot or not the first time is irrelevant, because you're gonna stun him here, and then you're gonna follow with that well-placed blow coming next. But if all goes well, you've locked the wrist points, you've chopped the arm here, so you've already hit him on 3 points. Now you come back on this point, which brings him down. Now you're hitting him here and then following up to the same point just in case. Now with the step backwards, even through the arm padding, we're gonna push and we'll bring it down. If he punches and we step back and do this properly, this is gonna bring him down, allowing us to control him. So keep in mind that if you get really good at this, you're only gonna get to step 1 of the move. And then from here you could follow with arm bars, whatever technique you like to do. So when you're doing a pressure point move or you're doing one of these self-defense techniques, don't skip past all of this. Don't go punch 1, 2, and then look for the headshots. Because really it's the mastery of the arm points that's gonna put you in position. And if you do it well, this and this are just backups in case you make a mistake. The arm alone is sufficient to control him and bring him down. All right, so we've covered single grabbing applications. We've grabbed the wrist, grabbed the opposite wrist, we've grabbed the lapel, and that same thing, if John came in and actually was to choke with one hand, this is the same technique as if he grabs here. So basically any one-handed grab from the elbow up, we do the previous technique. Now we're gonna work with a double grab. With a double grab, he's most likely gonna grab your clothing and he's gonna have some strength to it, so he's grabbing you this way. What we're gonna do is we're gonna work the outside points, the large intestine 10 and 11 points on the forearm. Basically it's in the split between these two muscles. And the purpose of these points are gonna be to bend his knees, lift his chin, and bring his elbows to my ribs. So I'm gonna take a small step back, hitting the points this way.